The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. It's where we all begin. Welcome to Lazy Dog Typewriters.
One of the most popular and most produced machines in history, the Hermes Baby was manufactured all across the globe, from the mountains of Switzerland to the foggy British Isles to the tropical forests of Brazil. Our story focuses on a British Typewriter Limited, which secured a contract to produce Hermes Baby Clones in 1936. They produced this clone for 25 years, interrupted only by the World War II. From 1946 until the end of production in 1960, they produced machines branded first as Empire and then as Empire Aristocrat. Then in 1959, to show support for the little guy, the aristocrats got the axe and returned to a much more democratic empire. Wait a minute. Anyway, in 1954, the Swiss introduced an improved Hermes Baby model with a thicker platen and modern square keys. The British followed suit in 1955 with the Empire model with S2 serial numbers. Our machines went like this. Then, out of nowhere, in 1958, the colonials, like that the Americans, in form of the Smith Corona, took over the empire and gobbled up British typewriters. 18 months later, in 1960, Smith Corona ended the empire in order to produce the Skywriter, also not known as the Smithwriter, inside joke. Thus, our 1959 Empire typewriter is pretty much a time capsule at the end of the empire, and it proudly bears three names: Empire, Smith Corona, and manufactured by British Typewriters Limited. Now, watch as the Empire strikes back. Hail Britannia.
Howdy folks, we haven't gotten to Return of the Jedi yet, but what you see before you is definitely the end of the Empire. The last hurrah for a typewriter design upon which the sun never sets. Well, let's check it out. So, what you have here is a Smith Corona Empire typewriter, which is based upon, or more precisely stated, a clone of the Hermes Baby typewriter made in Switzerland. So, as Kevin mentioned in his introduction, this was manufactured under contract in Britain by the British Typewriter Limited, British Typewriters Limited, in West Bromwich, England. And they manufactured this particular model in 1959, and they stopped manufacturing these models in 1960. They were killed off by Smith Corona, who presumably acquired British Typewriters simply for the sake of shutting down production so that they could focus production on the Skywriter. So that's what they did, and it seemed to be pretty effective. But of course, the Hermes Baby continued to be manufactured by Hermes and Pylard, I guess. I have no idea how to pronounce that Swiss name. But they were continued to be manufactured and continued on all the way through the 70s and even into the early 80s with the Olivetti Lettera 82, which we'll look at in just a moment. But for now, let's take a look at this beautiful machine. It has all the classic shaping that you have in your Hermes Baby. The later model, as Kevin mentioned, in 1955, they changed the keyboard from the round black keys to a more square shape. Of course, they went with the famous Hermes green, and Smith Corona decided to spice it up a little bit with the white keys. They have a standard keyboard here, which means there's no number one, no exclamation point, so very customary back in that time frame. And most visually distinctive, of course, is the gull wing ribbon covers, which will pop up here to reveal your ribbons. And just a really neat little feature. I think I'd love that. I think everybody must love that aspect of the Hermes Baby or the Empire. So, just continuing on in the feature overview, your carriage return arm is very much like the Tyrannosaurus Rex 4 arms, very short but effective. In order to get it out of its locked case position, which took me a moment, you have to move the line selector lever from the 1 line to 2 lines. Let's see if I can do it with one hand. May not be able to. There we go. And that allows you to unlock the carriage. So that's where your carriage lock is. It's part of this mechanism here. And that's how you unlock it. So now we can spacebar across and go from there. So you have your paper bale, of course, with this graduated ruler. You have a nice and very securely held paper support. Again, it's hard to do one-handed and backwards, but it's designed to just pop up. Let me see if I can do it this way with my right hand. So it pops up by just releasing this. There we go. And it pops out. Now you have a single AM antenna, I guess. Your margins are set here on the back with these very nice knurled knobs. The machining that went into these older machines is sometimes very impressive. So not sure if you can make that out. Let's zoom in. Yeah, just a little bit. But these nuts are very nicely done. And I don't know, just the little details like that impress me. So you've got your traditional slide margins, 2 platen knobs. You do not have things such as a touch selector, and you do not have things such as a ribbon color selector on this model either. So just a real basic machine, emphasis on portability and functionality over any unnecessary feature that you might need. The case of the Empire typewriter is fairly standard, vinyl or leatherette, brown leather-ish material. This case is in good shape. I have not yet cleaned it. We just got this machine in, and we wanted to make a video on it right away. And it really is, as Kevin noted, a time capsule because they changed these machines first in 1955. I guess the Jubilee edition of the Hermes Baby it was called. With 54 in the Swiss, 55 for the British, and ours was made in 59, and they stopped making them in 60. So it's a real snapshot in time of typewriter manufacturing. And now what you see before you is the machine that kicked off the empire that the sun never set upon, typewriters, woo, all over the world. Look at that, spring-loaded gull wings, special effects. So it has gull wing ribbon covers, just like the Empire Clone does, but it has a black keyboard, round keys, black keys, and it has a smaller platen. So this is about 7 millimeters. I believe it was 24.5 to 31.5 change. So that helps a little bit with usability. Of course, this one is rock hard at this time. But a larger platen is an improvement that lets you hopefully grip the paper a little bit better, and I think will help with stiffer cardstock. But this guy was made in Switzerland, and just like his clone was made in England. And let's go ahead and take another look at where this whole line ended up in Brazil. So we have a little bit uncommon, rarish if you will, Lettera 82. And my friend John Cliff, who speaks Italian, lived in Italy for a number of years, corrected me. I would always say Lettera, but it's Lettera 82. And you can see that it retains the ghost of the gull wing, because now you just have a plastic ribbon cover, not gull wing pop-ups. You do, however, you get a line. Well, your line selector is also moved down to here, and you have a much lighter machine, all plastic, much less rugged, as you can tell, because even ours has some busted portion. This portion of the case is gone, alas, but it's still vestigially here, and just with a Brazilian key set also, which is interesting. So various different circumflexes, and you can check our in-depth review of this under the moniker of Indiana Jones's typewriter. But this is what we ended up with. We've progressed from the Hermes Baby to the clone of it, which was the British Typewriter Empire, and then all the way into the Olivetti Lettera 82, made around 79, 81, 82, and this is what we have. Thought it might be fun to see if there's how much of a difference there is in the typing touch for these machines. Let's go ahead and load up some paper. And of course it's crooked. I'm doing it sideways through a machine. There we go. All right, let's give it our best shot here. So the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. This is still the original gross ribbon and gross keys, so I apologize for that not giving it its fair shot in terms of quality of output, but not too bad for just picked up off the street. So let's go over here and take a look at what the original Hermes Baby can do. All right, here's a look at the original much cleaner type slugs, so that's not a fair comparison, but quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Sorry for my poor typesmanship. And now let's take a look at what we get with our Lettera 82. All right, quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. All of these typewriters need a new ribbon, but you can see that that's pretty much identical to the one above it, and it looks like a pica typeface, whereas the original, which we taught the Empire, it looks a little bit, it looks like it's probably an elite typeface. That's just different variables. Very similar typing touch, though. You would think, well, maybe they'll be different, but if I had to pick one that I preferred the most, I would go with the Empire. It just probably has to do more with the key structure themselves, the keycaps. But I prefer that even over the original Hermes Baby. But they're all very close. They're obviously clones of each other. The plastic keyboards on the Lettera 82 is a little less pleasant to type on, I think. But that's purely aesthetic and very up to individual and subjective enjoyment. And last but not least, here is a chance to look at the machine that essentially killed off the Empire, that ended the Empire. And that is the Smith Corona Skywriter. Another wonderful machine, a classic machine that had a long life. And this has that early 1950s keycaps that you see on the Model 5s as well, with the light green and the dark green. It's a wonderful machine as well. This one has the teeny weeny T-Rex carriage return arm as well. I think the longer one is a little bit preferable, but you can see that these are very similar machines. They are very lightweight, very portable, easy to take with you on the train or even on the airplane if you had the opportunity to do so. So, final conclusion, thoughts on the Empire. I really like this machine. If I had to pick between the three that I own, the Hermes Baby, the Empire, and the Lettera 82, I'd give the nod to the Empire. I like the color scheme a little better than the taupe or brown of the original skins, but it's still metal. I really enjoy the bright white keys. The touch and the typing action is pretty much identical as it should be because it's a clone. So they use the same machinery and tooling to make this, and it shows. It's just a really wonderful, nice machine. Whether you like this over the Skywriter, that's another debate. I tend to like these, and even the Royalite thrown in there would be another good comparison. But it has a good, solid typing action, quick response, nothing that you don't need. You don't have the ribbon color selector. You don't have tabs. You don't have, well, that's pretty much it. You don't have touch selector. So a great machine if you're looking for an ultra portable, a classic, and it really is the last vestige of the Empire. Thanks for watching.
Please like, subscribe, and share. And don't forget to comment.